Welcome back to the IBFP. Here's your host, Foxy New.
Welcome back, fight fans. Welcome back. Let's just dig right into it. Billy Joe Saunders said we've seen the best of Canelo Alvarez, and he won't get any better. Let's just break it down honestly and objectively as possible. And this is a direct quote from Billy Joe Saunders, and he states, I rate him as the best pound for pound at the moment. For me to defeat him, it's not just about the money. Don't get me wrong, we're all in it for the money. But for me, if they were to say, hey, you're going to win, but you're going to go home and you're not going to have a penny, I'd say, yes, let's do that. And he also says, for me, it's all about winning. I really do rate him. I think that he's a brilliant fighter. He's complete. But the thing is, I believe that we've seen the best of him. We haven't seen the best of me yet. I've seen the absolute best of him. The Golovkin fight twice, the Danny Jacobs fight. He's not going to get any better than that. So that's a very interesting and telling story from Billy Joe Saunders about how he feels Canelo Alvarez. We've seen the very best of him. He's not going to get any better, and that's where he is. So let's dig into Billy Joe Saunders. And I think Billy Joe Saunders is a very good fighter. I think he's somewhat underrated. He's a two-weight world champion, so I got a lot of respect for Billy Joe Saunders. I think, he has a very diverse skill set, and I think that that's going to aid him in making things tricky and difficult for Canelo Alvarez in their upcoming fight. But one thing I will say about this whole thing is I believe that Billy Joe Saunders is just trying to hype up the fight, or if he really believes this, he's making a foolish mistake. And this is why, because Billy Joe Saunders is 30 years old. Canelo Alvarez is 29 years old. He's actually younger than Billy Joe Saunders. He has a more complete resume. He's already considered an all-time great elite fighter, pound for pound fighter, and many of the things that Billy Joe Saunders is not. He's faced higher levels of competition than Billy Joe Saunders. Think about it like this. Billy Joe Saunders fought Marcelo Coerces, and basically when he fought him, when he fought Coerces, he basically looked terrible in the fight. He looked a shell of himself, and Billy Joe Saunders went in there, and we understand that he's the type of fighter that can rise to the occasion. But if you're judging a fighter based on the style of the particular fighter that he fought, that's a foolish mistake, because when we saw him against Marcelo, Coerces, he did not look great. He took a lot of shots. He didn't look like the Billy Joe Saunders that he did, when he fought a guy like David Lemieux. He didn't look like that. He didn't look like the Billy Joe Saunders that fought Chris Eubank or Willie Monroe. He looked pretty terrible. And, Billy Joe Saunders, so if you made the same assessment of him based on that level of opposition, and the fact that he's older than Canelo, couldn't you say that he's not going to get any better? That type of statement made absolutely no sense. How have we not seen the best of you when you got in the ring against Marcelo and laid a goose egg? It doesn't make any sense. And then when you see the opposition that Canelo was fighting, you're talking about Danny Jacobs and Triple G, two of the elite fighters at 160 pounds at the time. These guys were the absolute best at 160. There was no one better than either one of these guys. Danny Jacobs fought 4 undefeated fighters in a row to get Canelo. And you see Triple G, this guy was a unified champion when he fought Canelo. So both of these guys were very difficult fights. Both of these guys were at the top of their game. And both of these guys were at the top of the division. So the fact that you can say that Canelo, we saw the best because he showed some weaknesses or difficulties in either or both of those fights, it makes no sense to me when Billy Joe Saunders has never even fought at that level before. Billy Joe Saunders' most impressive and dominant win on his resume, you could say is Chris Eubank Jr. or you could say is David Lemieux. And we know that both of those fighters are levels below, guys like Triple G and Danny Jacobs when they were at their absolute best fighting Canelo Alvarez. And we got to stop the narratives. It doesn't make sense. I think Billy Joe Saunders is a terrific fighter, but look at it like this. This is why Billy Joe Saunders is making a huge mistake, because now all you're going to do is motivate a guy who's a pound for pound, proven, elite, younger, fighter than Billy Joe Saunders, a versatile Canelo Alvarez who is literally just entering his prime and will be levels above the best opponent Billy Joe Saunders has ever faced, and has shown improvement since fighting better opponents in Floyd Mayweather, Landy Lara, Danny Jacobs, and Triple G. Billy Joe Saunders is making a foolish mistake believing that. But once again, Unbiased as always, it's the IBFP.